Hi, welcome to this how to play video. Actually, it's a presentation video for green box of games. This is not a single game, this is a sandbox actually. It's very interesting, cool idea with 16 games included, all in one box with common components shared, with the ability to make additional games on your own with a highly involved community, offering more and more ideas. Plus, this is a Kickstarter version which includes an additional rulebook that I think you can also find online, not additional components if I'm not mistaken, that you can get to use the components of this sandbox game to play even more games, and why not, the limit is nowhere to be seen. You can do whatever you want, since the developer and the designer of this cool idea has already said himself that this was the main principle behind the designing and production of this game, for people to use it and make more and more games. So they use it as a sandbox actually. So let's see what we get inside the box. We get the main rulebook, which has the different rules for the different individual 16 games in English. This is from the Kickstarter community. There are additional games. I'm going to come back to the rulebook because actually, as you would imagine, it's part of the sandbox experience. You can use it for playing a lot of games or keeping track of the score, etc. It's a very, very cool idea. I'm really impressed. The only bad thing is you can't find it actually somewhere else now, because this was a Kickstarter version, and I'm looking also for retail options or for how to get it. Hopefully they're going to run another Kickstarter with even more games coming in, and I will be able to acquire it. So this is a copy of a friend of mine. Let's see what we get inside the game box, and we'll come back with presentation, not of all of the games, which will be quite, will make the video quite big. We'll just present a couple of them from the main rulebook and show you the main idea behind it. So first of all, a couple of words about quality. I'm really impressed because this is a very compact game, but it is packed with goodies and components. And the quality of the components is very, very nice. The iconography is very distinctive, very thick tiles, you see, vivid colors. Everything is used to the maximum degree that it can be used. You see, there is no blank or whatever back of a tile. There's so many things you can do with all these components, so actually I need to show you so you get an idea. It reminds me a bit of Arcade Pyramids, how it's called, this game, I don't remember, which is another similar principle. So we have 2 dice. What's that? Yeah, a small booklet. German and French rules as well in the box. A baggie full of cubes. So obviously you use them for various different things. A deck of cards, which actually is not a single deck, but it's a lot of cards that they are used for various things. Let me separate them by the back. Okay, we have these cards. Again, the same backing. Okay, so everything has the same back, and I think it's for the reason because you use some of them for some of the games, and so they need to be all the same. And from a quick view, you would think that you don't have a clue, or I didn't have a clue myself, of how each of those games would be played until, let's put it to the side, I started browsing this rulebook. So, as you can see, there is a very nice index which indicates the various games. We have Gold Mine, Faulty Towers, Jump Gate, Tunnel Run, Son of Karke, All Your Base, Grenade Salad, War 2.0, The Gauntlet, Temple of Doom, Liar's Cards, similar to Liar's Dice, Speed, Backgammon, Halma, and Othelino. It shows the number of players, so you can have games from 2 to 8 players, up to games specifically for 2 players. You can have various playing time depending on the game, from 15 minutes to up to 45. And complexity, so if you want a very simple game like backgammon, or a more complex one like Hold Your Base. Again, there is a very handy reference at the back. Towards the top you have more family-ish games, family orientated, traditional games at the bottom, and strategies around the middle. The general description of the rulebook is very interesting because you see each size, each page has gold mine, setup and some basic things, explanation of how to play and how to win the game. So the same goes for all of the games. You see each page is a single game, with an exception, I think, of a couple, like a grenade salad here, which occupies 2, or War 2. It's a very, very interesting idea. You see, you can even play backgammon with cards and cubes. Amazing, right? And why this is amazing, you'll ask? Okay, first of all, I found it amazing because sometimes I need to take something with me on holiday, or for lunch break at work or whatever, and I can have a small box like that. You see, look at my hand, it's not big at all, and I have various components to play various games. But I think this whole game is also appealing to designers and people who try to print and play, or try their own games, or want to try in variants, etc. So with all these different components, you'll try not only to play these games, but use them for I don't know, designing purposes, or modifying variants in your games, etc. So this is a description of the components. A really, really cool idea. Very interested and very fascinated about the concept of the whole green box of games, plus the additional, you see, more games that you have from Kickstarter. This is a thank you to the backers. Additional games, the same idea. King's Ransom, Treasure Hunt. Some of them are different ways to play, I don't know, Catan or something like that. Games that are already out there, but they cannot be called like that, if I'm not mistaken. So it is a different way of playing it with different components. This is Plus from the Kickstarter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a couple of the games from the basic 16 games of the green box of games, show you how you use these components and what you do with them. And hopefully this is going to be interesting to some of them, or some of you, so you'll get to read about more or find out more about how this green box of games can be part of a whole sandbox experience for you guys. Okay, one example is Son of Karke. It's this one in the rulebook. It is played by 2 to 4 players, lasts around 30 minutes. Its complexity is around 3 out of 5, I would say. You need all 36 cards, all 36 tiles, you see. It's very easy to show you, actually, you can see. You use all 36 tiles, none of the cards, and 4 times 5, 3 times 7, or 2 times 9 cubes. You see, this is very handy actually, because for another game you have 9 cards per player, all 36 tiles, etc. So it's quite handy because you can really pick up the useful components to play this specific game and start playing right away. So thematically, Son of Karke, you are Karke, a successful merchant seeking to expand your trading empire by issuing orders to your sons. So what you do is you shuffle all the tiles here on a face down stack. You take the top tile and place it face down on the table, like that. Then you take the next tile and place it face up next to the previous tile, like that. I mean, for me this is very fascinating, the way it looks like an ordinary tile, but everything is very something specific, and how the things join and make a common square or something like that, because depending on the game they have different use, the art and the iconography. So the setup says that if you're playing with 3 or 4 players, you remove 1 or 2 tiles respectively from the game to ensure that every player gets the same number of turns. Makes sense, balance. And with 4 players you give each player 5 merchant cubes, with 3 players 7, and with 2 players 9. So for example, let's take this big box. Say we're playing a 2-player game, we're gonna get 9 cubes of a specific color, So I would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm just counting to see that there are also some yellows remaining. So this is one player here, and 9 cubes. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The other player. Okay, good. So the next thing we do is we learn how to play the game. We just simply read the rules. I'm reading as I'm recording this video to show you how easy it is to get into any of those games right away. So in my turn, I draw a tile. If I like to place it on this side with this symbol or face down, I connect it, and if I want, I may place a cube on the tile, which is actually not compulsory. You can choose to place a merchant, which is a cube, either in the center of the tile or in the corner of the tile where it intersects with 3 other tiles. So I could only place it here if this tile was also filled in. Otherwise, I can only place it in the middle of the tile. If I place it on the middle of the tile with this face up side, this is a market. If I place it on a tile on the back side, this is a city. An intersection is known as a crossroad. And again, intersection is this one. You can only place an intersection when you have all 4 tiles touching to each other. Now, again, you don't have to place a merchant, a cube. You only decide if you want to play. But you're only allowed to place a merchant on a crossroad, as I said before, when it's complete. So what do you score? You place the merchant. Placing a merchant can trigger scoring points for you later in the game, depending on the position, on the place where you placed it. So for the market, we said that this is a market, you see, face up. For the market, that means that you own this symbol until someone else places a token on the same symbol. When that happens, so for example, let me find a similar symbol. Say okay, it doesn't have to be here. Say during the game, this player owns this market with this symbol. This is the same symbol, right? So I own this symbol. So that means that I own this symbol until a player places a token, again with the same symbol, say for example here, and he decides to take control of this icon. In this case, you're going to score points for all the symbols you have cubes of the same symbol on the board already, and remove them. That's 1, 2, remove them to your stock, and then you score 2 points. The next thing you can score is a city. You score a city with 1 point for each different market symbol surrounding the tile, including diagonally. And then you return the cube to your hand and score when you have all 6, or when it's completely surrounded. So if I own this city, I get to score 1 point for each different symbol surrounding, from markets that is, surrounding the city that I have, including diagonally. So we score, this is one symbol, this is the same, 1 point for this one. This is also the same, 2 points, 3, 4, including diagonally. So what I do then is I remove this cube and I have scored this city. The rule is that I score 1 point for each market, for each of the different market symbols around the tile. These are other cities, that's why they don't contribute to my scoring for this specific city. Okay, remember the crossroads? We get to place a cube, a merchant, on a crossroad only when it has all 4 corners touching each other. Crossroads score points only at the end of the game, so you need to be very careful because you lock your merchant on this position. So each merchant on a crossroad has an influence on all 4 adjacent tiles, and for each of the symbols, and counting cities as a symbol, you award 5 points to the player with the greatest total influence on that symbol across the board, so everywhere. If 2 players are tied, they get 3 points each, and 3 players, when they are tied, they get 2 points each. So this is very important because you get, this one will give you influence on all of this. So you give you 1 influence here, 1 influence on this icon, one influence on this icon, and one influence also on the city icon. When you have different crossroads all across the board, when you have a big area, remember you have a lot of tiles to place on your turn, then when you do that, you get to score, you add the influence of this symbol from crossroads all across the game board, and the player with the most symbols gets 5 points for each of those symbols which he got the most influence out of the whole board. So the winner. Play continues until all tiles have been placed, so you need to go through all of this stack to finish the game. Now all merchants still on the board are scored according to the rules that we just described. After scoring markets and cities, we remove these cubes to make it easier to calculate the remaining crossroads, because they're always calculated at the end. The winner is the player with the most points. This is a very easy set of rules, very interesting, and immediately out of just seeing cubes and symbol tiles, you see a very interesting game. Let me do that again. A very interesting game. Yes, right, it's only cubes, it's only tiles, but you can see you have strategy in this game, you have tile placement, you have control, you have influence, you have a lot of things, and this is just only one example of the 16 included in the game. And if you are one of the lucky guys to have the Kickstarter version, one of the 32 versions of different games you can play, and I believe that the community is already contributing to more and more games with this green box of games, because this is such a brilliant idea. Let's see another game, Gold Mine. Let me show you how the Gold Mine looks. It's only this page. So, Gold Mine is played by 2 to 8 players. It's a push your luck game where players venture into underground cavern looking for precious gold nuggets, but beware of the cavern can collapse at any time. Does this remind you of Incan Gold? For me, for sure it does, and that's very good, because it's a fantastic game, and I'm really happy to be able to play also this game out of the green box of games. So it's played around 15 minutes, push your luck game, complexity is 2 out of 5. The rule book says that you don't need any of the tiles, but you need all of the cards for this game, and you also need all of the cubes, depending on the amount of player. So you shuffle all the cards and you place them on a face down draw deck. You place cubes in a common supply on the table. Let's say we have them here. So let's see how the game plays. Each turn, a new card is turned on the table, like that. The number of the card denotes how many gold nuggets are to be found. You divide this by the number of players and give each of the corresponding number of cubes from the pile to the players. Fractions cannot be divided equally are left on the card, exactly like Incan Gold. It's also called Diamante, if I'm not mistaken, Diamant. So for this case we take and add a gold nugget. All of the colors are gold nuggets for this purpose. Then each player must now decide whether to continue digging in deeper into the cavern with the potential of getting more profit, or flee before the next card is turned up. Each player sticks out their hand with their thumb pointing upward horizontally if they want to, to continue. And on the count of 3, each player decides whether to turn the thumb up or down. So they go like that, and you decide you go 1, 2, 3, that or that, if you decide to go in or out. As an alternative, players can use one tile each that they place on the table hidden under their hand. Browse tiles that mean run, and green means brown side would mean run, green side would mean flee. So like the voting tokens from Diamant, actually. This is a good alternative. And players that run away get to collect and divide all the treasure left on the cards. Then they are out of the game for the rest of the round. Play continues with the rest of the players. So let me show you more. We decide everyone stays. Here we have another gold nugget. We decide that everyone stays. Here we have 6 gold nuggets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here we couldn't divide. We're playing, let's say we're playing a 4-player game. We cannot divide this stash, so it stays on the card. Neither we can here. But here, if we were playing 4-player game, it's 6. So everyone is going to get 1, and the remaining 2 will stay on the card. So everyone gets to hold 1 cube. We cannot divide the two remaining, so they stay on the card. We open a new card. We vote that we stay, for example. Here we have 5. Again, everyone takes one more. That makes 4, plus 1 that remains on the card. Right? So this is the way it goes. So play continues until all players have left, or until 3 cards with identical symbols have been placed on the table, not necessarily in sequence. So you're trying, when you get 3 times the same symbol, that means that the danger has occurred and you get busted actually. Because if you pass, on your way back, you collect and divide all the treasures left on the cards. So for example, if here one of the 4 players decides to go, they get all of these cubes for themselves. If 2 players out of 4 divide to flee, so they get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, each of them gets 2, one stays back on one of the cards, and going out, they have quite a lot of cubes already, nuggets already secured. The rest continue to draw cards in the same sequence, so this continues until 3 symbols match, which means that the danger has occurred, the cavern has collapsed, and any players remaining inside will lose all the treasure they collected this round. The game is played for 4 rounds. You count the total gold nuggets and each player has collected, and the winner is the player with the most gold. This is such a brilliant idea, to use the same components to be able to play ink and gold, or diamant, how you call it. It's one of my favorite push your luck games. It's very, very fun, very, very tense. I always enjoyed it, and I'm pretty happy that I get to play with Green Box of Games one fast version of it as well. Okay, I'm going to show you one last game that you can play with this fantastic Green Box of Games. So it's called Tunnel Run. It's played by 2 to 4 players. You get a session lasts around 15 minutes. You get to use all of 36 tiles, all of 54 cards, and each player gets 3 cubes in his color. And you're ready to play Tunnel Run. Now, let's put this to the side and describe Tunnel Run. So Tunnel Run is a race game in which you play with several pirates trying to escape the king's fortress through an underground tunnel. For the setup, you sort the symbol tiles in 6 stacks, each containing all 6 different symbols. You shuffle each stack and use them to build a tunnel or track. The shape can be anything you like, straight, spiral, whatever you want. And then you place all pirates, players of the cubes of the players, outside one of the end of the tunnel, the beginning of the tunnel. You shuffle the cards and deal 3 cards to each player. Then you select starting player randomly, or maybe let the younger player be first, and you're ready to go. So what you do is, you're gonna take all of these tiles, sort them by symbol on different stacks. And once you do that, you do this with all the pile of the tiles, and once you do that, you need to make sure that you take 1 symbol from each of the 6 stacks, so you get 6 different symbols in a stack. You lay them down, you shuffle them, you lay them down, then you have a different 6 tiles. So basically you ensure that you don't get all of those symbols at the beginning, for example, which would be a broken way to play Cartagena. Yeah, right, this is Cartagena, if you haven't heard, because I'm sure some of you who love this game like me, you already understand that you can play with Green Box of Games Cartagena. That's right. So fast forward, we have created a Tunnel Run, which goes like that. We have 3 pirates at the beginning of, at the opening of the Tunnel Run, ready to run for treasure. We shuffle the deck of cards and give 3 cards face down to each player. So they have a starting hand of 3 cards, like that. And we're ready to play. So on your turn, you play 1 card from your hand to move 1 pirate. Take 1 of your pieces and move it forward towards the end of the tunnel. Stop when you have reached a tile with the same symbol as the card you have played. So for example, I'm the green player, I use this card, I play it face down. Let's say this is my face down discard pile here, and I take my pirate. He runs until he gets to see this symbol and stop. So if the tile is occupied by another pirate, keep moving until you reach the next. So if I was to move forward like that. Then I start with the same card, playing this symbol. I run. This is occupied. I continue running. And I go even further down to the next symbol, next tile with this symbol. So this is quite useful when you get to play a symbol where you're going to go further down if it's already occupied by one of the other players, because you move even further down the precious tunnel. So if you reach the end without coming across any available tile, you place the piece outside the tunnel. This pirate has completed the track and exited the tunnel. So this continues going all the way around till this guy reaches the end of the tunnel and exits, for example, here. Obviously you do one thing on your turn, so when you move at the end, you go out of the tunnel like that. When you have played one card and completed your move, you draw one new card from the deck, and then it's the next player's turn. Very simple game. The winner is the first place to get all of their pirates to the exit. Fantastic. It's like playing Cartagena. Really love this game. It's awesome with kids, but awesome with grown adults. So you can also play variation. You can try different number of cards and pirates per player to adjust the level of complexity, obviously, to make it more difficult or make the length of the game more. So I'm not going to show you another game because we're going to make this video quite long. I just show you 3 out of the 16. Keep in mind you also have the Kickstarter rulebook you can find online for sure, but I would really support the publisher because he has done an excellent job with, you know, if you like it, go and buy it actually, with this production of Green Box of Games. A lot of games, some of them you already know them, some of them you may not have known them because you know, they're unique, but some of them will remind you of other games. Actually, I'm just going to read you what the publisher says. It's the Green Box of Games is all relevant material is available from you know, downloading from this location here, and it says that it is inspired by other games. While most of the non-traditional games included in this edition are original creations, so you have also a lot of original creations, a few are heavily inspired by other great games created with the respected game designers. This is no secret, and in fact a key strength of the Green Box of Games is that you can use it to adapt your favorite games. However, there are no direct references to the original games in the promotion of the game or the rules, in order to avoid any trademark, obviously, infringements. The original designers of those games do definitely deserve credit, so they are: Goldmine is heavily inspired by Diamant, Ink and Gold by Bruno Faidutti and Alan Moon. Tanleran is heavily inspired by Cartagena by Leo Colombini. Son of Karke is heavily inspired by Carcassonne by Klaus-Jürgen Werde. The rest are unique games. The same goes with the Kickstarter. No, I don't see any reference, so these are also unique games. Maybe have some similarities with other games, but they all are unique games. So just to close and finalize this video, this is a brilliant idea. I really loved it. I thought it's a fantastic idea, a sandbox, a small sandbox of components with you know, beautiful presentation on the table, beautiful aesthetics, fantastic iconography, very easy to understand. It looks chaotic at the beginning, you say what's going on with all these symbols, but then when you get to have the game explained, you only focus on the rules, symbols fall into place, they make sense, they make, you know, everyone understands the rules, and you get to enjoy a specific game out of the Green Box of Games. So very impressed with this one, fantastic idea, brilliant execution. 2 thumbs up from me. Hope you enjoyed this video. Till next time, thank you for watching.